My name is Ajit, and on behalf of Botminds and UBS Forums, I welcome you all for this exclusive virtual webinar on Has RPA Failed Your Document Process Automation? Time to use an AI-first platform. First of all, thank you very much for sparing your time and joining us for today's session. I hope you all are doing well and staying safe with your families. So before we start, a few guidelines I would like to make you people aware of. This webinar is happening on Zoom platform, and this session is being recorded. And we will take your questions in the Q&A session at the end of each session. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, queries, either you can use hand raise option or you can post the same in chat box. Our speakers will get back to you on the same. So let's get started. Modern enterprises comprise both simple and complex process. While RPA has helped enterprise automate simple routine work, it has failed in automating workflows that require a certain level of understanding and decision making. Installing hundreds of bots for every activity has only turned out to be complex and costlier than enterprise had imagined. Given accelerating pace at which automation technologies are evolving, it is more important that enterprise look beyond RPA to stay digitally competent. Adopting an AI-first platform for automating business critical workforce, such as document processing automation, dramatically evaluates business value and offers competitive advantages. By leveraging AI, enterprises can attain true automation by augmenting decision-making and combining speed with intelligence. In today's webinar, we will explore the best strategies to transform the business process by leveraging the true potential of RPA and AI in document processing. To set up the context and take this discussion forward, let me invite our keynote speaker for the day. Saurabh, Vikas, next slide, please. Yeah, so before that, this will be the agenda for the day. So we'll have a keynote session by Mr. Saurabh Kelwani from Hanover. Then Vikas will take you through some of the use cases, case studies, and demos. And we'll have a closing remarks by Mr. Gokul Ganpati. So with that, let me invite our keynote speaker for the day, who is Mr. Saurabh Kelwani, Head of IT at Hanover, India. He has over 17 years of experience in the IT industry in India as well as abroad. He has worked with several Fortune 100 firms and helped them implement state-of-the-art IT solutions. With that note, Saurabh, over to you to take this forward.
Thanks, Ajit. Hi, everyone. I'm honored to share my views with this august audience and set the tone for this webinar. Everyone has this question: did RPA already exist from long ago under traditional automation? When did it diverge and evolve as a discrete technology? Let's take a peek into the history of RPA to find out the answers. Though the term robotic process automation emerged in the early 2000s, it had its primary developments after the 1990s. The history of RPA tells that it had a few predecessors like the screen scraping software, the desktop macros, workflow automation tools, etc. RPA still relies on these technologies, but uplifts the precision in the process and significantly improves the ability to increase the quality of deliverables to the users. RPA's growth has been at a rapid pace over the last few years, especially the second half of last decade, and its impacts are higher than one could actually imagine. When organizations and industries were looking for ways to increase their workflow efficiency, RPA slid in as the answer. To acquire huge profits and to stay strong with the highly competitive market, organizations started implementing RPA in their workflow across different areas. Since RPA applied automation to the workflow using drag and drop feature without depending on the code, the proliferation of RPA was remarkably easy. And the best part is people can adopt and start using RPA without having programming knowledge. RPA has grown to a potential where the software robots can work around the clock without human intervention. IT automation had the fastest adaptation to RPA and penetrated widely into the market. The results amazed many organizations, including the small and medium enterprises. In most corporate departments, the automation of manual work has fetched unmatched level of productivity and accuracy compared with the traditional method. The indifference that happens with human work is removed and made consistently efficient using RPA. RPA has started placing the data entry and the data rekeying jobs with its automated software robots and techniques. It is anticipated that in future, No data entry, rekeying, and other repetitive mind-numbing tasks will be manual. Almost all of the rule-driven, protocol-driven tasks can be automated efficiently using RPA. It is estimated that there will be a confirmed rise for the RPA market with a CAGR of 29% over the next 3 years. In the future, when the advancements of RPA gets fully evolved, all those operations that a human does today will be automated by RPA. These platforms would be able to deal with unforeseen errors and exceptions in a business process, learning from and adapting based on previous actions and experience. Industry analysts believe strongly that the combination of RPA solutions with intelligent technologies will be of great potential that can solve even the unforeseen errors. Next slide, please. Now that we have looked at the evolution of RPA and its advantages as well as its potential, let's go through a few limitations. Here are a few pain points from industry leaders. On process improvement or cognitive capabilities, RPA is not a cognitive computing solution, or the best suited for rules-based versus judgment-based processes. RPA requires structured data. Most of enterprise data is buried in unstructured documents, emails, invoices, sanctions, etc. Voice and callback processes and processes that require human subjectivity. Reading and interpreting image or graphic data. Can't read a network topology or some machine drawing. Handwritten documents. Handwritten documents present a challenge, but it is slowly being addressed, and hopefully in the next few years, we will see more intelligent handwritten notes recognition. So as you see, these are actual comments from industry leaders and what their pain points are. So from this, one thing is clear, that it all points to the absence of cognitive capabilities. Next slide, please. Okay. So now that we know the limitations, let us take a look as to how the industry is trying to overcome these limitations. And the answer is intelligent automation. On the most fundamental level, RPA is associated with doing, whereas AI and ML is concerned with thinking and learning, respectively. We can see this along the steps on this graphic. The top two towards the right are the ones where the automation is clearly progressing to say towards intelligent automation. These are the steps that have cognitive capabilities like OCR, NLP, and computer vision. Moreover, if you see, the bottom two steps are process driven while the top two are data driven. Next slide again. Okay. Let's use invoice processing as an example, considering it's a standard use case across the industries, which is where actually in my organization, we also have a problem statement. Our vendors send us the electronic invoices by email. We download the invoices into a folder, extract the relevant information from the invoices, and finally create the bills or entries in our accounting software. In this scenario, RPA is suitable for automating the menial job of retrieving emails. The retrieval can be done on the basis of the email subject or the particular sender, downloading the attachments, that is the invoices, into a defined folder and create the bills or the entries in the accounting software, mainly through copy and paste actions. On the other hand, AI is required to intelligently read the invoices and extract the pertinent information such as invoice number, supplier name, invoice due date, product description, amounts, taxes, and many more. Why is this so? This is because the invoices are essentially unstructured or at best semi-structured data. For example, different vendors have different invoice templates and formats. There are also varying number of line items across these different invoices. Since every activity in RPA needs to be explicitly programmed or scripted, it is practically impossible to teach the bot exactly where to extract the relevant information for each invoice received. Hence the need for AI to intelligently decipher the invoice just as a human would. And that's exactly what we have done at our end. We have created RPA bots around this document process, but not created any automation for document processing per se to read these invoices. It is still manually done. So what are our options if you were to look for solutions? going back to our example, one solution would be that after the invoices have been downloaded, they will be passed through an optical character recognition, or what we call an OCR software, which will attempt to extract the required information. A human operator will then validate this information before handing over the work back to the RPA bot to create the invoices in the system. The key advantage, therefore, of using RPA and AI solution is that one can achieve straight-through processing with minimal human intervention. However, what if we use a unified platform that can automate document processing intelligently, and that to end-to-end? And that's exactly what intelligent document processing, or IDP, is all about. It can automate document-centric processes using cognitive capabilities, or even can be used in tandem with an RPA tool. So with that, I will leave the floor to the Botminds team, and I'm done with my keynote. Thank you very much for listening. Please let me know if you have any questions at your end.
Thank you, Saurabh. Anyone, if you have any questions, please post the same in chat box. You can use hand raise option.
What is the technology used for deep learning? Again, deep learning is a part of machine learning. Again, then you can train your models. It could be self-learning, or you could train it according to the set rules. How to train for multiple? Oh, there's so many questions suddenly.
So go ahead and take one by one. And
yeah, I am. So how to train for multiple vendors? Vikas, is that something that you would want to answer? Yeah, because you have that use case?
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and pick that up. I think, Saurabh, we can pick up the questions that are toward
you. Right. So one question is, were you able to completely remove the human intervention? The answer is no. We are still looking for solution, and we are in touch with a couple of vendors to figure out an OCR technology, the one that best fits our case. We are still reading these invoices manually, but we have identified our problems. We have created bots around this. As I mentioned, everything apart from reading the invoices happening using an RPA bot, but we are not using any intelligent technology to read this information yet. But hopefully in probably a couple of months' time, we'll have a solution. What would be the accuracy level? We have touched base with a couple of vendors. The average accuracy that we have seen based on the invoices that are both handwritten as well as across different formats, it tends to be around 80 to 85%. So there is still some amount of minimal human intervention that is required. But having said that, 10 to 15% is not much if we see 80 to 85% savings of work. What are the RPA leading software tools available in the market? Again, there are various tools. Ajit, am I allowed to take names of
whatever ones you have about that?
Okay. So you can the primary three, I would say, are UiPath, Automation Anywhere, and Blue Prism. That's are primarily used, and we are also using one of these three. Okay, what is the name of the solution, and what's the accuracy? So the solution, I would let again Vikas handle the accuracy in terms of his tool for this particular piece. What's the approximate time from inception to delivery for an OCR plus RPA plus ML solution for reading documents like a contract? So these days, the technology is quite advanced. Within, I think, a few weeks to months, I would say in a couple of months, I've seen with 80 to 85% accuracy from the test data that we had provided to the vendor. It worked, pretty fine within 2 months. So, can it support East Asian languages, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean related to accuracy expectation? That is, again, something you'll have to touch with the product company. We have only tried English at our end. But Vikas, again, that is something.
Yeah, these questions are all me.
Yeah.
So,
what are different pre-processing done to enhance the document or do necessary actions for better outcome? Again, because this is something you would take, or shall I?
yeah, I'll take all of these. I think the questions.
Yeah, these are all document
yes,
related,
all,
OCR. Yeah. What's the OCR vendor that produces the 80 to 85% accuracy for the handwritten PDF documents? Again, I think there are quite a few vendors out in the market that have such good. I think the average would be around 70, but if you pick up the, say, the top 5 ones, it would be around 80 to 85% for sure. What would be the cost? See, again, the cost again depends from vendor to vendor, product to product. The POC that we got done was actually free of cost. The vendor actually wanted to onboard us, as we are from a particular niche industry, and they wanted to target as our first customer. So the POC for us was done actually free of cost for a couple of our clients' data. So, but I'm not sure. I don't know if everyone would be, agreeable to doing that.
I think sort of if you can take the last question from Penelope, that'll be good because that's towards you.
Yes, that is what
common challenges. The common challenges one?
Yeah.
What common challenges are encountered during implementation?
Yes, so I think the first and foremost is that your input, it needs to be pre-processed or it needs to be fixed. Considering that we also automated our bank statements, but these bank statements are very standard, but every time a bank statement, the format changes, you have to be agile, you have to be very, very resilient, you have to make sure that the other bots don't get affected anytime there is a change. So you have to adapt to the changes very quickly. Okay, and make sure that your frameworks are also in place. So I think these 2 things, agility and I think resilience, I think that is something that should always keep in mind. One thing, again, I would considering that, RPA tools vary, from one another, and also in terms of costing licensing, you should also figure out how to best optimize the use of these licenses, considering that, the RPA licenses cost a few $1,000s, for each user.
Okay. I see a few questions which are here on the Q&A session as well, and I will be picking them up during the Q&A, other than the chat. I think that's the set of questions for you, Saurabh.
Okay. There's one you mentioned that the solution can also tag along with the RPA bots if necessary, and I think that's exactly what I think Botminds can do. How is RPA over and above Excel macros? I think Excel macros is very specific to Microsoft Excel, or I would say the Microsoft suite. RPA is much, much more powerful. It can interact with many data sources, across many platforms. So again, Excel macros, I think, is something that would fail if you have, say, over 500,000 rows of data, but that does not happen with RPA. It could connect to various data sources quickly and rapidly, and it's very stable. Most RPA platforms.
So let's take the remaining questions after on the second section.
I disagree with the timeline have taken more than a year. My back end was...
Can you hear me? Hi, Saurabh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Let's take the remaining questions after the remaining section.
Okay, sorry, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Saurabh. Thank you very much for setting the context. Thank you very much for your presentation. So let's move ahead with our next session. And for the same, I'd like to invite Mr. Gokul Ganapathy, who is the co-founder and CEO at Botminds, with 12 plus years of experience, mainly into enterprise applications and product development, now fascinated towards converting unstructured data into structured knowledge and further towards actionable insights. Along with him, we have Mr. Vikas Anand, Vice President, Sales and Marketing and Head of Growth at Botminds. He has over 22 years of industry experience, and has worked with companies like HCL, Infosys, and Blue Prism. He has spent 18 years in outsourcing, consulting, and sales with global clients. The last 5 years, Vikas has been with RPA and intelligent automation industry, helping organizations in their digital transformation journey in identifying the right tool sets to solve their business challenges. With that note, Vikas, over to you to take this forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Ajit. I understand that you can hear me and you can see me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Thank you everyone for joining, for your time today. Thanks for the amazing set of questions which are here. Saurabh presented, from his organization, from Manover Ray, the experience that he had in using the RPA plus other combinations and the invoice challenge that he experienced. Rest of the session is about Botminds, and I think most of the questions there are about the session that I'm about to start. So I'll take these questions up, towards the end. We have another Q&A session coming through. You've seen, me present this, at the beginning as well. Typically when you're looking at an IDP solution, yeah, you can make things work between an RPA and an OCR and a couple of other technologies, but that's again called making things work. And people may have different experience there, but I believe that there is a better way, at Botminds to be able to do IDP. And what we do at Botminds is we make the IDP automation, easy. Botminds is an AI-first platform, which essentially works on no code. It's not a low code scenario. It's a no code, which means you don't really have to write any code to make any of the AI platform work. You don't really need AI engineers and data scientists to deal with Python and then starting building your models. You can go ahead and create your models using our point-and-click technology, at Botminds. And Botminds is also an end-to-end platform, which means that, it can work as an RPA surrounding the document challenges that you may have or the document processes you may have. Or it can just go ahead and work just for the document process itself. My attempt today in the next 10-15 minutes is to give you an introduction to what this platform is and the capability that this platform essentially offers. And the problem that we are looking at Botminds, a very specific set of problem, and that is to do with documents. Traditionally, documents, enterprise documents are basically stuck within a large set of data. We work with clients who basically have contracts going back 10, 20, 30 years, and they haven't been able to capitalize on those contracts because there are conditions, revenue conditions, which are there, and they haven't really had time to look through them and look at which of the contract needs renewal, what are the other conditions which are currently satisfied or not satisfied. So a technology which can allow looking through the entire document set and seamlessly extract the relevant information fairly fast, as typically what RPA did when it came down to doing multi-step process and doing it pretty fast. That's what IDP essentially does for a document-based processing. And typically what we have seen today, and as you've seen in my introduction, I've worked with Blue Prism, so I have fair amount of understanding on exactly how RPA works, the combination of the RPA, how the other tools need to work for certain things to be delivered. And RPA is at a good run. Of course, RPA is going up to IPA, CPA, and other things as well. But the key point here is, again, it's at the base, it is RPA, and I'll cover about that in just a minute. But we got a lot of documents here. The bots kind of are built for speed. That's essentially what they're doing. You got a rule-based automation that is kind of running up to a certain extent and a longer onboarding time. Saurabh mentioned something about a couple of months. I've got another person in the Q&A saying that no, that's not right. It is more like a year. So yeah, there's a variety of different experience that almost everybody has, and you may have had a slightly different experience because you're all talking about different varieties of problem statements, scenarios, starting point, endpoints. But here, my idea is to have a generalist view on typically how things would go around when you were to work, with a document-based process. So we look at automation as a holistic view of both RPA, which is speed, and intelligence, which is coming from SMEs. Now, anything that is a structured information typically will come in, you can pass it on to the RPA, goes all the way through, and at the end you have the output. But the moment you have slight bit of unstructured or variety in your incoming documents, that is where we typically put in people, which are subject matter experts, to say, okay, you deal with this document, put everything together so that the RPA can kick off, right? That's the intelligence. And if the only thing you take away from this webinar today, and that is going to be that we at Botminds convert an SME's intelligence into an AI model so that it becomes repeatable, so that it becomes scalable for you. And all of that we look at from a document perspective. Now, there was a question about what's the difference between Excel macros and RPA. So you're looking at a very simple process, and almost everybody on this webinar kind of would have done this in their starting time or right now as well. We all started automation through scripts and macros, and holy grail for that is Excel. We look at that as the automation. And then, of course, RPA came along, and RPA is you can look at beyond Excel. You can look at any type of data, any type of document, any type of process, any type of source of information that is coming through, as long as it is structured. And I think in the last 3, 4, 5 years, when the RPA kind of had done almost everything that it could do, it started going beyond the boundary to say, okay, can I look at a document? Can I look at an invoice and read the document to extract the information? Can I look at a mammogram? Can I look at an X-ray and see what is happening? Because I can, combine the power of AI and combine the power of, OCR and do something with it, because these technologies will extract information for me. And that's where we got introduced to the term called IPA, which is RPA plus AI. But when it comes to unstructured document, a different approach is absolutely required. And that approach is an AI first approach. You need to look at it from an AI perspective, from an NLP perspective, from your model's perspective, to say, okay, the starting point is really, really different. I've got no structured data. I've got this 100, 200, 500 page document, and I need to extract it. And no two documents are similar. How do I solve that? And that's where we believe AI first approach is kind of very important. Sure, a lot of RPA tools right now have AI, but at the core, again, it's an RPA solution with an AI around it. We at Botminds are an AI first platform. At the absolute core, we got our AI engines, ML, NLP, all the other pieces. So we're basically sitting at a crux of deep learning, NLP, computer vision, all of that. We chase our latest AI breakthroughs and bring that as part of our platform. But at the same time, if you haven't invested in RPA, we can go ahead and do that end-to-end automation for you. If you have gone ahead and done the investment in RPA, we can do the document understanding piece for you and then hand over the activity that needs to be done to the RPA. Both of these pieces work perfectly fine, with Botminds. And we look at it from a 3-angle perspective. The very first thing really is that we understand all types of documents. So you're looking at standard documents on a PDF, which is native PDF files. Then you're looking at scanned images coming into the PDF. Then you're looking at literal images which are coming through from a WhatsApp. It has been combined and that has been sent out. Those images we're looking at. We're looking at web pages which are static, dynamic, any kind of data, any kind of document, we can read that. Second thing that we do is that we do not operate on a template. So you're not training Botminds about where the information, and this is typically, on a screen scraping challenge or an OCR challenge, you have to train that, okay, this is where some pixels here, some pixels here is where I need to look at the data. Sure, the algorithms have gotten smarter, they have buffer around it, but the point is you're still training on where the information is. At Botminds, we train what the information looks like, and then we go look through the document and extract all that information. And beyond that identification of the information, we also train on how do you find more information like that. And that training is done through point and click. So it's a completely no-code platform. You have the ability to give a point and click training to all the fields, we call them attributes, to all the fields or attributes, all the values that you need to extract. And because it's an AI platform, typically you would have heard for the AI that it needs 100,000 to 1 million data points. We at Botminds have done all that hard work. We've done all the million data points and examples for all the different AIs that we've kind of built. At this point, you can start with as small as giving 100 examples to the platform, and it'll start giving the prediction at a certain accuracy percentage. And of course, the more examples that you give there, the prediction kind of improves there. And we are able to deliver all of this in just a couple of weeks. So you can give us some document and say, can you build a POC around that, and train the AI? Sure, 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have that ready for you. You give more documents and you want to push it online, push it live, sure, 3 to 4 weeks, we'll go ahead and give you that AI deployed, right? So that's the speed essentially that we're looking at. And it's a 4-step process. We're looking at ingestion of information. That's a very first step process. We can connect to any source. We can connect to your email box. We can connect to cloud, systems, cloud applications. We can connect to your CRM applications. It doesn't matter what the source is. We can go ahead and connect. We can even continue to monitor an open web page to see if a document shows up, and then we'll go ahead and pick that up. Second piece is understand, and this is what our multiple AI layers are available as part of our platform. Third piece is train, and this is where those 100+ documents come into play. This is a one-time activity. And the end comes the extraction, which is where you're looking at the output coming through, and the output could be in any specific format. You could have it into a PDF, CSV, TSV. You can get into an API, consumption. You can push it directly to the underlying system, etc. Depending upon what your requirement is, Botminds can deliver there. And the other piece is that, Botminds is a horizontal platform. So we don't really have a invoice solution, contract solution, web page solution. It's a horizontal platform. What that means for you in the organization really is that, if you're looking at it from a legal organization standpoint and you pick up a, LMS or a, legal contract management solution, and then that does a great job, but then finance comes along and say, I've got a similar problem as well. Then you go out, scout for a finance-based solution. And at the end of it, you have 3 or 4 different platforms that kind of need to work together, or you have multiple investments. With Botminds, you have a single platform. It can take care of the legal team, legal requirements, contractual requirements, financial requirements, HR requirements, et cetera, et cetera. It's a horizontal platform that has multiple capabilities depending upon what kind of documents you have. And just to give an illustration, this is all the area of work that we have worked on so far. So we've looked at, research where we're looking at market research, company profile, equity, earning releases, equity market research. We look at financial operations, multiple annual reports that we are extracting, accounts payable, invoices, KYC documents, legal documents, risk loss analysis to be able to identify if there's any risky statement. Do I need to go through this 500-page document, or can you just identify the 5 areas that I should just focus on? We can do that. Financial services document, multiple annual reports. And you would understand that all of these things come in, sure, they have a structure that a human being can understand, the vendor name, information, and all that stuff. But when you have to train a platform or a technology to it, it needs to be very specific in the training. And that is where the location, that is where the template-based training that is going on, and we are free of templates. We just go ahead and extract the information once the training has been delivered. So what I'm going to do as a second part of my presentation here, I'm going to show you a couple of features. And then after this, I'm going to show you the actual demo of certain use cases that are kind of kept handy for today's webinar. And please feel free to drop in any questions that you have at this point, because after that, I will go ahead and do we'll have a Q&A session there. So this is our platform here. On the left-hand side is the source document. On the right-hand side here is the output. And what we're looking at essentially is that you can see that at any given point of time, when I click on this value here, it tells me where the value really is. And you would have seen this similar UI, so similar UX, in certain places, because that's where you would bring the information out. But we are breaking this down into multiple different sections depending upon the requirement. And from the very beginning, if we look at net income, I'm going to pause here for a second. If you look at net income here, it's a negative 588. The value is not net income. So what I'm trying to demonstrate with that really is that we're not looking at a find, replace, look for the value, show that value, and bring that out. We're essentially training, using the NLP engine at the back, training it from a variety of different languages and terminologies which are used between, let's say a Fortune 100 company, which is in transport business versus airline business versus bank versus retail. They all would have a similar annual report, but they may use different terminologies there. So we can extract through all of this information without needing specific training. Same thing goes for net sales as well. And let's stop again at current assets. Now, typically an OCR challenge would be the moment you read this via the OCR will give you a value of current asset as 0. And that is assuming that you've trained the multiple pieces, because OCR is just picking up the information from the page and giving you what it sees. Now you need on top of that the ability to be able to understand exactly what is written, how to read it. And as humans, we know that this is 2019, 2018, 2 years are there. Even though we are in 2021, 2019 is the latest year in this document. There's a sub table which is there within balance sheet, and current asset and 4495 is a subheading and a subtotal, and that's the right value. So the moment you train the very first time and say, 4495 is what I want to extract for current asset, every other thing that I've just described is automatically picked up by our table AI. You don't have to train anything there. You just say current asset 4495, give it a couple of more examples, and our platform starts predicting from that point onwards. And it's not just tables. It can pick up information from anywhere in the document as well. So in this case, I'm using another 10K filing here, an annual report, and I'm extracting information from within the document, not really specified. And here we're looking at accrued interest, advertising expenses, and so on and so forth. And the values are not just extracted and kept here. Sure, you can go ahead and take this value out in a variety of different formats. We got PDF, JSON, TSV, and I'm showing you a manual piece here. And what you're looking at is the value that has been extracted, the confidence score that we have in that extraction, which is accurately pointed at 100% here, and another HTTP link, which is our deep linking. I'll talk about that a little later. But what you see here is that the entire value that you had seen on the right-hand side is now available to you as a tabular format. And this is the structured information. And all this work from an unstructured document to a structured document really happens in near real time. So the moment you upload a fresh annual report, roughly about 4, 5, 7 minutes, depending upon the size of the report, depending upon the number of elements you want to extract, that's the amount of time. Once it is done, you have the data ready, on demand. And to me, the holy grail of looking at an unstructured documents literally comes from call transcripts. So this is a call transcript of a quarterly earning, report release where one person has gone ahead and done the entire introduction. There is no structure to it. No two reports are ever same because you're just explaining what the quarter has been for the organization. And here we are extracting all the information that is necessary. Everything that you've seen on the right-hand side now and before, that is something that you define based on your requirements. So that's something that comes through. Here we got 2 recommendations, on a change in percentage. We got 13% higher, 13% higher than prior year. Our platform would try and give you recommendations to say, this is the right value, but maybe this is a better value. So those recommendations will come in. You have the ability to promote or reject, accept or reject using these buttons to say, yeah, this is a good recommendation. I'm going to take that. Oh no, I don't like this. I want to, pick up the information that, was there. So that's essentially, in here, you can go ahead and extract that. I'm going to do a fast forward here. So you can extract this information, take it out into a PDF file because it's text heavy. So I'm showing you a PDF extraction here. And it opens up, it has all the information, all these templates, can be changed and adjusted to your requirement. You would remember this 13% higher that I spoke about. Now here, typically what happens on a legal or any document extraction is the moment you extract this piece and send it out, the person may say, okay, fine, this is okay, but what is the context of this? I need some more information there. And the moment that request comes in, you must start your extraction process all over again to find out where is this information. But with Botminds, with our deep linking technology, you have the ability to just go ahead and click on one of these hyperlinks or deep links which are available. The actual document, that page, that paragraph, that line, you will be taken to that place and say, you know what, this is where I extracted the information. And it actually does not matter whether somebody is there in the platform or not, because this PDF can be extracted, sent via emails, and anybody who receives it can get to this, source of the information directly, without any challenge. So with this, what I will do really is I will start, moving towards showing you some live demos here. And Saurabh spoke about, invoice extraction. I want to bring that out as the very first example. Ajit, Gokul, can you confirm that my Chrome is visible?
Yep.
All right. So what I'm doing here, like you've seen in the video, this is our platform. It's a SaaS-based platform. We got the document on the left-hand side. We got the output on the right-hand side. I'll explain what the yellows are. In this example, this is pretty simple on top because it stays, for most of the documents. I want to focus on this challenge here because this is a TV spot related invoice. This is done for US, election campaign last year, where whoever has created a TV spot, the invoice needs to be created and they've submitted that information. So you're able to extract the information, from the spot length, and you can see that the highlight of the information is available right here. And these ones you see in yellow is the post-process to normalize information. So this information does not exist in this entire document. And what we are doing is while doing the extraction, we are picking up and pulling out the entire information and we're normalizing it. So we are converting that, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. to a 6 p.m. I mean, nothing great here, no big deal, 6 p to 6 p.m. But if you take this thing forward, in this case, TH to a Thursday, but if you take this forward, this technology forward, what we've done in certain scenarios is when we're doing KYC document, extraction, we can extract the Aadhaar card number, we can extract the GST number, we can query the GST database, the centralized database, extract the values from there. bring those two values together and give you an answer right here that, yes, it is genuine, it matches, or it does not. In an insurance scenario, we can pick up the claim which has been written down here, pick up the policy number, query the main database, query whether it's applicable for insurance or not, how much is the amount that is applicable, and bring that information here and say, you know what, this particular treatment is not covered in the insurance, or this particular treatment is only covered to, say, 2 lakh rupees, not 5 lakh rupees, which the insurer has claimed here. So these are the variety of use cases and scenarios that we can actually do. Another typical example that I've seen, challenge that I've seen on invoices is variety of different invoices. And that's something that sort of, mentioned. Now here we got another invoice here where we are extracting information, decent quality, some handwritten stuff over there as well. And we are doing the first level classification to say, what type of invoice is this? It's a vendor invoice. Then we look at the second piece and say, okay, we extract customer invoice details, GST number, vendor number. We also extract the QR code and so on and so forth. The next invoice, which is there, is not a vendor invoice. It's an airline invoice. But within the same AI model, within the same project, our classification engine has determined that it's an airline-related invoice. And the terminology, taxonomy, attributes have also been changed to the airline-related. So it's not vendor-related anymore. We've got the entire same amount of information, but all of that is related to the airlines. The next three are also airlines. If I skip forward, there's a completely different airline, which is here. The template is completely changed, but we are continuing to extract the information from there, regardless of what the template is. And like this, so on and so forth, the information continues. Another key thing that we are currently dealing with is ESG. So I'm going to show you that example now. In this scenario, we're looking at a 70-page, report, and we've done multiple classification, and the requirement really was, hey, can you read everything that is there on the table and give it to us? And that's exactly what we're doing. So we're looking at performance data, the specific tables. So the first is finding the table, extracting the information from that, and every single piece of information that is written on the table, we are extracting that. The second piece would be just give me the latest one. Sure, I demonstrated another demo during the presentation that we can do that, but this is a little bit more challenging because none of the number of years are same. And in previous year or in 2020, a different document had different number set of years, different presentation, and so on and so forth. So you have this ability, and you also have the ability to take a look at this in a completely different format, which is a bit more easy for us as a human beings to review. So you have that ability, the feature available, right out of the box. And then instead of just the tables, you could go ahead and look at, the actual ESG value to say, what's my scope 1 value, what's my scope 2 value, what's my scope 3 value, et cetera, et cetera. So we have that ability to be able to pull that out. And I think the last piece that I want to show here as an example would be the risk loss analysis that I had spoken about. And this is an example where we are dealing with a mailbox, which essentially has thousands of email communication coming in daily, which I think is a typical challenge. This is a construction-related, mailbox where people are coming back and the vendors are writing back information saying that, hey, this project is going to get delayed. This information is not, sufficient, or we are going to cancel the project. And typically, the people who are manning the desk are sitting down and reading every single email to find out, is the project in question? Is there a risk to the project? So what we've done here is we built a simple solution, using our platform. The moment a correspondence comes in, we bring it in through our connectors. And we already, before opening the correspondence also, you have the ability to say, what, somebody attached a resume. It has nothing to do with the project. So it's an irrelevant document. The other correspondences are relevant, but there isn't anything related to risk. Our NLP has determined there is no risk-related information here, so they're non-critical. And then on the other part, we're looking at the critical information, and why is that critical has also been identified here. So you can go into the document and say, okay, this document is here, it's a scanned document. Where are the areas that I should actually read? And our platform allows you to simply look at the documents which are in question, which need to be looked at, rather than having to look at all sets of correspondences overall. So with that, I'll finish the demo and I'll talk about certain case studies here, and then we'll move on to, I think, a Q&A there. So one of the case studies I want to talk about today is a case study for which we got the ISG1 award. And this is our, construction conglomerate tender risk analysis. And we've been able to do significant amount of, benefit here. And the challenge really was that our client here was really dealing with, tenders which were coming in for 100, 200, 300, 500 pages worth. And every single one of them had multiple addendums, attachments that needed to be looked at. And as you saw at the very beginning, this client was really spending roughly about 5 days in reviewing all the documents very, very carefully, and then consolidating the entire summary and then presenting it, out. So complex document formats, variety of document formats, bidding also got, impact over there. And then there was a lot of subjectivity involved, because if you're reviewing a document across a couple of days, even if you're doing it for a couple of hours, you would have subjectivity coming in through, right? So our solution really was that we looked and, identified the different risk scores. We looked and trained in terms of what are the challenges, what are the risks, how are they, the people, and going back to my very first slide, convert the SME's intelligence into an AI model. So we captured what the SMEs were really doing, what needed to be done, and we assigned the risk scores there. And we generated and download, a tender risk information solution for them. For that, the sheets were available for them to download. And the subject matter experts then could simply open the document, look at the areas where risks were highlighted, just the way you saw in the communication, email communication example. And as a result of that, they were able to reduce the bidding time by about 80%. So coming down from 5 days, they were able to bring it down to just 5 hours, including human in the loop activity. And that's typically the benefit that you would see. The example that I ran sometime back with the invoices, and this is what we were doing there. And we were looking at all these pieces that I spoke about, the OCR extraction of 100,000 pages. They had a lot of work going on with OCR, desktops, JavaScript, manual Q&A, a lot of people working on that. And of course, there was multiple challenges that were there as well. And within just a couple of weeks, we were able to bring in a decent accuracy to them, and they were able to test that with stress test essentially with about 10,000 documents at the end of about 1 to 2 weeks. And then we kind of delivered a decent amount of improvement as well with each invoice that was being processed. So with this, I think I'll just close out and talk about 2 other things, before I completely push that out. One of the things really is that, because it's a subject matter expert related work, and because it takes a longer time, so there is a very large amount of cost saving, operational efficiency that is there for you to gain. It is not just 10 minutes call or 10 minutes back office work that can be brought into 5 minutes or 2 minutes. AI is always at the augmentation stage. We're not looking at replacing 100% of the human activity. We are just augmenting what a human being does. And if a human is looking through a document an hour, and we can bring that down to a 15-minute, I think there's a very significant win there. And once you have that starting point, the overall thing essentially keeps on increasing over and over again. And there's a we started this webinar. The topic of this webinar really is that RPA is really not the right solution. And I want to bring our point of view here. If you were to start typically with a RPA related document understanding, we believe that and this is a couple of clients that have moved from a RPA that they're using plus Abby plus others versus Botminds. They have shared the experience saying that hey, we've been doing this for some time. It takes a couple of months. I have got like 5 developers, 6 developers working and doing that activity. Every single new template that comes in that needs to be changed. There are multiple integrations which are required. You have to create build a bot for every activity and then kind of combine for applications. Sure, you can have orchestrators and other pieces in place, but there's a lot of integration that is required. And the pricing also comes in pretty important there. I'm reading just right side corner here. So you are looking at paying your RPA license, then paying the OCR license, then paying your AI license, and so on and so forth. Whereas what we have been able to deliver to our clients with Botminds, really we can start giving you the value in just about a couple of weeks time. 3 to 5 weeks is roughly what we've seen. Larger projects go to about 6 to 8 weeks. Smaller projects get done within a week's time. I'm taking average and neutral side on both the sides there. We don't really need any coding experience, so our platform is really built for business. Even if it is, complicated things that need to be extracted. Ours is a vertically integrated platform, which essentially means that you get everything, built into a single stack, which works seamlessly, with each other. And we do a lot of things, when it comes down to, document set handling, document, crawling, being able to extract, information without any need of the template. And from a pricing perspective, we have a single license for the entire enterprise. We do not have a per bot, per user, per use case license. It's just a single flat license. So I see there's a lot of value that we are able to bring into the clients that we're currently working with. And our value proposition really is that it's a horizontal platform. You can rapidly do certain automation in just about a few weeks, time, and start getting an ROI. And we offer end-to-end automation wherever you just are dealing with documents. We can do end-to-end from there. And with that, I will close, my point here. I'm going to leave the screen open because not many people know about Botminds at the moment. So what we are offering really is that we are going to do a 2-hour workshop, within a month's time. And if you would like to, get access to that workshop where you are given access to Botminds platform, you will be then trained to how do I create a new AI model for a particular scenario, and then take that experience with you, also on a certificate along the way. Please go ahead and feel free to register at this link or scan the QR code, at this time. We'll go ahead and put 20-25 seats there. In case there are more, attention and attendees there, we'll run another workshop there. But the idea is to be able to give you the access, you or your teams, access to our platform there. I'm going to leave this open here. My next slide is really, Q&A, but I do think that somebody might want to go ahead and take a look, at that there. So I'll give it back to you, Ajit. I'm going to open up the chat and the Q&A session as well, and I'm going to try and answer, there. All right.
Thank you, Vikas. There are a few questions, like, can you please relate this with call center example?
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me who asked this question? I want to take the name and
Priya. Ms. Priya Ganraja.
Okay,
Ganeja, sorry, Priya Ganeja.
Okay, is that in the Q&A?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, starting bottom up. All right. So on a contact center, essentially, Priya, you're looking at the fact that you're looking at a front office, back office. On a back office scenario, you're looking at certain things that need to be done. A back office may have a lot of documents coming through, emails need to be processed. And this is one typical example that I've given to all the conversation on digital transformation that I've done. And sure, we've come a long way from there. You receive an email from a very upset customer, writes 2 paragraphs on that upset email, and at the end says, thank you for your support. And a typical keyword-based automation would pick up the thank you and send a response back saying, we're very happy to serve you, look forward. But that's not the point, right? The point really is that there is an issue that happened there. You need an intelligence system to be able to monitor, then go ahead and push it to the other team. This team is typically managed as an L0. And now a lot of clients have started not accepting emails, but you fill up a form. But regardless of that, still human beings filling the form, so they will fill whatever they want to fill at any given point of time. So you need a L0 desk, which typically is managed by humans. So a technology like this could essentially sit there. The second thing could happen is that you may be running a contact center which handles a lot of verification documents, KYC, for example, contract-related documents, or any other scenario, invoice-related documents, all the 3 that I've taken here. Okay. Now, for a person to be able to copy and paste and extract, because you're dealing with unstructured information to a structured information, Botminds can sit right in the middle, and for you to have the reference to say, this is the document that came in, here is the value that is extracted, it's already available to you, here, you can just click and go on with that. I think that would be something that you could use, from a contact center standpoint. So I'm going to go bottom up. Tradition should do top down. I'm on the Q&A section. What is Botminds? Is an organization or a product? It is actually both. We are from Botminds. Botminds is an organization, and Botminds is our product as well. We call it Botminds IDP. It's a unified platform that can do everything related to documents. As long as you have documents, we can do the extraction and all the automation related to that. All right. Penelope has asked a question on Q&A. have you done an implementation where you have extracted data from PDF that have handwritten information in? So if so, what was the accuracy of the tool? So a handwritten recognition is currently a challenge with the entire, AI solution. A lot of, solutions are kind of available from an ICR perspective. At the moment, we are able to handle a block letter handwritten recognition. We can go ahead and do that. We can also read forms. Wherever you have a check mark on the form, you fill the form with the block letters, we can do that. But if you're looking at a cursive handwriting, we are basically working on that. That's part of our roadmap. On the Q&A, there are 3 questions from Madhvi and Gokul. You have highlighted that you would like to answer this. Do you want to take them up?
Okay, yeah. Well, I thought we can answer live, but I'm happy to take it up.
Yeah, I mean, Madhvi, do you want to go ahead and ask the question? You've got 3 of them. I don't know, can Madhvi unmute herself? Ajit?
Yes, Madhvi, if you can just raise your hand, I'll give you the permission to ask the question. Yeah, I've given permission. Madhvi, if you are there, you can unmute yourself and ask the question directly.
Sorry, I was attending a call. Which question? I have posted 3 questions. Which one you want me to?
Whatever question you like to ask Gokul and I, Madhvi, please go ahead.
No, I posted 3 questions. So which one of that?
So I'm more, okay, I'll help you. So homegrown assets. So I like to understand more. What kind of assets you're talking about, or any AI model? So I like to know more about it. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks. Especially in banking, you would have various processes which are repetitive in nature, right? And for example, the one that you took, invoice processing. So are there any subset of the processing which is there inbuilt as an API which can be readily used? There are certain tools, competitive tools, which are coming up with such bot resumes, you may want to call them as. So is there anything of that sort readily available? So I'm trying to gauge, though it is a low code, I'm trying to gauge the go-to-market time for this. That is one. Point 2 is, I also asked about the pricing model. I don't want to know the exact numbers, but on what basis do you assess the complexity or the licensing or the size of the work? On what is the basis you consider? I have a couple of other examples where a few of the customers were not in agreement with the pricing model. So I just wanted to understand what is your strategy. And I think the third question I asked.
Language, it's about language. We'll cover a lot of questions. A lot of others asked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, you want to take Vikas on the marketplace and pricing?
Yeah, so I'll take the pricing first. I think there's one more question that Vishwas, has asked, when we say one enterprise license, how many bots? I'm going to try and combine both of them. So our pricing model really is, we have got 2 components there. One is an onboarding cost, and the second one is a subscription cost. We'll leave onboarding cost aside because that's a one-time activity. A subscription cost, we only consider the number of pages that we process. So if you got, 10,000 pages that you're processing at a given point of time, you can go ahead and pick that up. It does not matter whether you're doing invoices with it, you're dealing with, contracts, you're dealing with, tenders, you're dealing with web pages. It doesn't matter. We go ahead and pick that up. There aren't any bots here. We only have AI models. And when we say there is no restriction, it means that using our horizontal platform, you could go ahead and create, invoice extraction, contract extraction, risk loss analysis, and 5 others. And all of them will be, will push in the documents to Botminds platform. There might be 5 users, 3 users, each dealing with all of those applications. There's no restriction to number of users as well. And the only thing that we're counting is how many pages collectively through all these applications, or all these AI models, or all the use cases you're basically processing through Botminds. That's the only unit of measurement that we've got. So you are free to go ahead and continue to build 5, 10, 15, 100 different AI models, or 10, 15 different use cases and scenarios, within the Botminds platform, within the organization, as long as it is for your organization's usage purpose that you are running that. There's a single pricing enterprise license that is available to everyone, which covers everything The only thing, again, I'm repeating that part, but I want to be clear here. The only thing we meter is on the basis of number of pages there. So I hope that is
totally. Yeah, I'd like to add a bit more color here. That's a great question, model. That's why I thought of answering in live. See, basically, we are liberating you from a continuous license. You have to pay for all the bots. Like one time, I mean, with Botminds, for example, you want to monitor an email. One time you create that email monitoring component. We do have readily available in our platform, but let's say you want to have a custom email monitoring bot developed. We can either provision the existing component, or we can create a custom component. That's a one-time cost covered within that onboarding. You don't have to pay every year, every month. You are going to pay only for the pages, the number of pages processed every month. Okay, so basically we are we are disrupting here. We are liberating you from paying for job done long back. So that's our pricing model. So it's only I mean, also we are not charging you by the number of users, not by the number of desktops, not by anything else. Okay, not even from the model complexity. It's plain and simple number of pages processed per month. That's our pricing. Okay, and on the homegrown assets, that's another interesting point, right? We recently launched. A marketplace, but it's a version 1, and that's exactly the direction we are taking. We are bringing more and more developed AI models in our marketplace, so that you can get ROI. Not just, I mean, our focus is 2 weeks, 3 weeks you should get, but now we are even cutting that short. Why not in first hour you can start seeing results? So we're just getting started, and we are working with our partners, and I can see a lot of partners also in this group. So we're working with partners to get those listed in marketplace. Certainly that's our direction.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Then we have a question from Gangadhar. Gangadhar, do you want to raise hand, unmute yourself? Right, go ahead.
Yeah, Gangadhar, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So this thing is, so how do you have any solution that handles image PDFs, basically extracting the data from image PDFs? So is it ready-made solution available?
Sure. So I'll take that one. The example, Gangadhar, that I showed in terms of our risk loss analysis was actually an image PDF. And by image, I mean that is a scanned document. It's not a native PDF, and it comes as an image itself. So yeah, that's a native capability available within Botminds platform. You can have a scanned document, doesn't matter a number of pages there. We can go ahead and extract the information, from here itself.
Yeah. Will it handle unstructured kind of documents, also unstructured tables, like tables are not structured? Yeah. For example, voter list. Okay. Voter list, like it is not structured. So we need to, take bits and pieces. So, and is there anything that is that we can configure the efficacy, like percentage of success of capturing the data?
Sure. Thanks for those two questions. Very good questions there. So yeah, the first thing really is that unstructured tables. But a table by itself is a table that exists. I think the unstructured piece, Gangadhar, that you're referring to is you don't know where it is in the entire document. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I haven't really shown is, we have looked at a medical discharge summary as an example there. And as you would know, that discharge summary really is a 5, 10, 15 page document.
Yeah.
Tables somewhere in the middle to say this is the height, weight, this is the, all
exactly.
that.
Yes.
So yes, we have done that part. So what we do is our, document AI looks at the entire document and reads it like a human being to say, okay, how many pages are there? What information is available? Is there a table? Where are the tables? Then it first identifies the table. In the very first example that I showed as a video demo, you saw income statement, balance sheet. essentially what we've done is we've looked at a table and said, okay, what kind of table is this? And then our classification says this is a balance sheet. Then we go ahead and trigger whatever needs to be extracted from balance sheet. So yeah, so to answer your question in a very simple way, yes, we have the ability to extract the information from a table that is scattered across the entire document. Somewhere in the document we can identify. And I may have shown you different things to say, here is the notes example, here is the tables example, but it really is our two different capabilities just for demonstration. You could have entire thing in a single place and we can extract that out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thanks.
And sorry. Gokul.
Sorry, go finish it. Please.
Like other questions, like can we have the comparison, license cost comparison, and do we need to build a model for each template? Do we need to build, for example, other tools where we have to for every template I have to at least train once?
Yeah.
So how your system handles?
Yeah, I'm about to answer that. That's important question. I can see a few others also ask the same question. So Botminds platform, as Vikas said, built for business. It's built for business users. Yes, RPA developers can also do that same point and click. You don't have to worry about technology, deep learning, machine learning, all that stuff. Yeah. But the key thing is you are developing AI model. You're not training you're not defining a template. Most of the solutions out there giving you an easy way to create templates. That means it's very fragile or very easily. I mean, a small change, a noise or a distortion will result in complete failure in the extraction.
Yeah.
What we are bringing is AI model, right? So a confidence score can go, for example, instead of extracting the value with a 95% confidence, maybe it will extract 80% confidence.
Yeah.
Maybe it will come with a 60%, maybe it will alert a human to quickly verify. That may happen, but it's completely template free. That means, let's say you have 400 vendors. I'm not sure whether you are the one asked the question. The 400 vendors, how to train, because each vendor I have to use 7 examples to train the time. No.
Yeah.
Upload 400 maybe you documents and point and click, tell, okay, this is where the invoice ID, this is what the invoice number or GST. You do that point and click training and create a model. Okay. So that way it's completely template free and it's in your control.
Will it work for the 401 template, which is not totally same as 400?
Absolutely. That's I think I missed that. And so your training, it's not 400 to any number, but when it comes new document, this is smart enough to understand. Basically, the learning, it's the AI model is developed, right? What is around it, and what are the words used, how it is presented. I think you might have seen that table example, what Vikas point showcase, right? So whether it is bold, what underlined or indentation, all those things, taken into account to create a model. So when in completely 401 document, it is invoice hyphen or invoice hash instead of invoice number. But still, it will go and extract because the other nearby data points to our AI that this is most likely the invoice number.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Gokul.
Sure. And I will just add on to that. Thanks for all the questions, Gangadhar.
Yeah.
Just the point that I'd mentioned that you need to train 100 plus documents. These 100 plus documents are not per template, right? We are looking at 100 or so templates, and you train it with 1-2 examples of all of this, and just basically variety. So which essentially to what Gokul just finished there is you then the moment 101st document comes, right now you say, okay, I need to give it half an hour worth of a training or at least once. But in here, our platform would go ahead and do a recommendation to say, this is a new document. I found all this information. Is this good? And you can go ahead and say, yeah, everything is fine. This one is not okay. Or here is what you should have picked up. And that goes to the training, and that's the end of the work there. You don't have to do it specifically for a new template.
Okay.
Yeah. And there are some pricing related questions. I think pricing will keep it aside from this webinar. Pretty happy to answer that question.
That's fine. That's fine.
Thank you. Thank you.
And is there any manual validation also possible, like in case there is a discrepancy?
Yeah. So the example that I showed you, in terms of the yellow scenarios there, so you could go have a lot of, you can have a validation done there. And what I did not show today is that the moment an extraction happens, right next to the extraction, you have the ability to accept and reject, you remember the up and the down arrow?
Yeah.
Right next to that is an edit functionality also, where you can go ahead and change the value there. It's saying, hey, you missed a comma, you missed a zero, here is the value. And that goes back as a learning to the AI model. And then it goes, you can create an AI model there.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks, Vikas.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Vedanta. I can see 614292 number. I'm not sure but I'll go ahead and read the question. So can the extracted output be converted to an XML version? Absolutely. We support CSV, TSV, JSON, even XML, all out of box. You can get it direct. I mean, API where you can get in a JSON. So it's all out of box supported. But most of the time, customers also come and say, okay, I need a custom format. Yes, we, as part of that onboarding at one-time effort, we can also do the customization, make it in the XML format you want.
Do you want to pick up the next one as well, the maintenance cost and the support model?
Yeah, okay. So, right. So Vikas talked about onboarding cost and the subscription cost. And another, I think, is professional services. So, the first 1 or 2 scenario, we help you to, we will work with you, we will onboard, we'll collaborate with you. But during the time, your team also will get complete understanding about the Botminds platform, how it works, how to do that, new model development, how to orchestrate models to develop solutions, everything we help our team. Now, then that means the third scenario, fourth scenario, you don't have to incur any onboarding cost. You yourself can do. It's completely zero onboarding cost, only subscription. But what we are seeing is our customer comes and say, okay, we have done everything, but we are just reaching 85%, 90% accuracy. We want 95. Yes, we are happy to help you. That's when the support comes in. It's covered under predefined, pre-agreed professional services cost, rate card. And other than that, nothing. The maintenance cost, no. It's a cloud-based, SaaS-based platform. We release major release every quarter, and minor release every month. So we are not charging for any updates. It's all pretty much standard SaaS offering. And yeah.
All right, thanks. We have 2 questions from Sela. Sela, do you want to? Ajit, do you want to give Sela? Sela, do you want to raise hand and ask both questions?
If you can raise the hand, I'll give the option.
Okay, maybe Sela's not there. Let me go ahead and answer those 2 questions, Sela. So what are the type of document this tool supports, such as PDF, TIFF, and JPEG? Yeah, we support all of these incoming documents, including PDF file, including a direct, extraction from a web page. The web page could be dynamic, could be static, could be a company website, could be, BSE website, could be a travel website or a retail website. It doesn't matter. We can go ahead and configure information from there. And before I forget, I think there was another configuration question that came into the chat box to say, how is the integration done where there are no APIs? So we go ahead and create a custom integrator if it is required. But I think that's something that we would work with you either to get the information from there or create a custom integration, for that particular, platform. And if it is not, then we have to understand how the document is maintained. Maybe we can find a common place where the documents can be collected and then picked up from our system. Something that we have done, but I think it is case to case, basis. That's the question in the chat. Going back to Sela's question on the second piece, and what is the maximum file size and maximum number of pages of document can support by this tool? I think we've kind of tested it up to 5,000 to 7,000 pages per document. Is that right, Gokul?
Yeah, correct. So that's one of the core use of Botminds. The large documents, thousands of pages, no problem. We can support. Yeah, good.
Yeah, and the other thing that comes through is what I mentioned. We can monitor a website, and the need for monitoring a website could really be that hey, my documents are uploaded or released by the client, etc., at this particular website, and that could be, say, for example, an annual report. And I want you to monitor it. Anytime that gets done, bring that to me or bring that within the platform. And that monitoring frequency, we've kind of done it, fairly fast, depending upon what do you need. Do you want it to be pinged and monitored on a, per minute basis, or once every minute, or once every quarter, whatever as the case, maybe we configure it. And the other thing that comes important here is that the moment we are pinging and extracting information from a web page, are we actually, getting into trouble when it comes down to the automated extraction? So yeah, I mean, there are rules around that. But the way we look at this entire piece is that we look at a human-like navigation. So we look at quite a few things in place, and we don't go ahead, with multiple request after request to be able to extract the information. It is done synchronously, properly to any public information that is available, and then we go ahead and bring that information, within the platform there. Okay, Gokul, you have the Jitesh's question.
Yeah, I wanted to take it because I can see a few others also asked that. What is the AI technique we use here, right? So, as we always say, we chase the research happening in the intersection of deep learning and NLP, right? So, that's a very high level, but deep learning, NLP, a lot of, network architectures, different network architectures. But we are in this for last 5 years. We literally focus only, on the technology for first 2-3 years. So our strength lies in the homegrown. I mean, other question also asked, is it homegrown algo or anything else you are using? So it's our homegrown, data sets and algorithms. That's our strength. And it's a lot of AI techniques in play together. Like we have to use maybe CNN or RNN or sentence tagging. A lot of techniques comes together to deliver this platform in the way it is. Thanks for asking that.
I'm going to pick up a few questions from the chat box. Initial accuracy versus final accuracy achieved, in the use cases shown. So initial accuracy, we've been able to deliver at about 70-75% in most of the cases. In certain cases, once we had done the very first pass, as in phase 1, we finished. The moment we went on, phase 2, we kind of got our first level accuracy at 93% to 94%. And this is an ESG example that we had run. So the learning curve for our model and the delivery between a first level accuracy of 75% to begin with, and please do keep in mind 75% with 100 or so documents at the end of 3 or 4 weeks. That's the yardstick that I'm looking at. From a 75 to a 95%, we've seen that you're looking at a couple of more weeks, maybe a month and a half or 2, or you're looking at a couple of additional documents. What we also offer is a transparent AI, which means that you have the ability to look at the model's accuracy, prediction accuracy at the overall model basis, and you could also look at it at a field by field basis. Now, for example, the example that I ran in the demo, you had the invoice number, and then you had the the vendor name, GST number, and so on and so forth. You could essentially look at the confidence score of every single one of these elements, and the confidence score would be, I am 100% confident as in a model, or I'm only 20% confident. You can go down to the level to say, why is this only 20% confident? And you would say, the examples that you uploaded, they did not really have many examples for that scenario. So it only got 20 examples versus 100. And as a result of that, the entire overall accuracy is sitting down at a lower percentage. So the moment you give a couple of more examples to that field, the rest of the accuracy goes up. So that's the transparent AI that we have in offer to be able to address that. Will the accuracy be impacted? Gokul, you have highlighted, you want to take this one?
No impact. And the size of the documents, we have our own, we call that AI orchestration, unique capability of Botminds. So instead of one model to go and extract, you need maybe a series of models. That's our core differentiator in Botminds platform, using which we can maintain the same accuracies irrespective of the size of the documents.
I see the only one question, I think probably 2 of them. One question that is there is in terms of languages that came when Saurabh was giving his keynote. So we currently support English language. We have a double byte character support built within the platform. And we're going to go ahead and add a certain languages. I think they are Spanish and maybe Chinese there. We're looking at that. And that new language addition for us takes about 6 to 8 weeks. So if there is any specific requirement that you may have, so there is no, we just need about 6 to 8 weeks and a data set that we have that will push towards it, and then we'll have, the new language onboarded. But out of the box at the moment, we support English language. All right. Any other question on the chat that we missed out?
Yes, there is one more question by Jitesh. What are the limitations?
Yeah, so limitations, it's depends on the scenario we're handling for sure. But yeah, generic, I'll talk about generic, common limitation I've seen, right? So one, if you're talking about scan document, the scan quality obviously plays a role, and the distortions and noises certainly plays a role in terms of and that is for IDP side. Overall, IPA, in terms of how many, the kind of the integrations, like what one question was, right? Is it no API available? There is how to automate. So those are all the kind of scenarios normally comes as a hindrance or limitation. But from talking, limiting again back to the IDP side, it's more about the quality of documents and for example, a handwritten, right? It's an industry challenge at the moment. So handwritten, yes, cursive handwritten, bad quality handwritten documents. That's another limitation for sure.
Madhvi's question is, does it integrate with UiPath? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
We can integrate with that as well. We've done some integration in past, but using the API, we can sit, at the very beginning where the documents are being picked up, and then we can go ahead and hand it over to UiPath. We offer APIs from our side. We can expose, they are exposed and UiPath can consume it. Or the other way around, we can pick up the UiPath's APIs and then we can go ahead and, fulfill via that angle. So yes, and you could replace UiPath with any other RPA. The answer would still be the same. We allow and provide the integration, with the RPA players.
Yeah, so maybe I'll take another question what Madhavi asked. So with whom I can place Botminds in front of my customers? Mm-hmm. So very well the RPA, how RPA vendors are trying to evolve themselves into an IPA hyper automations in positions, right? More and more they're investing into AI because as Vikas already said, RPA companies solved automation when it comes to structured and semi-structured. Yes, they quickly realized and they have to get into IPA with this document understanding capability, because documents are the critical data repository in enterprises. So, but what we are doing is we started as a document understanding AI company, and we from day one it's for documents. So the competitors are in two different places. One, the RPA companies are trying into getting into IPA, document understanding, and then IDP players. The major, there are IDP players, and of course we have our own difference in the way how we solve. So the IDP players. So the competition is IDP companies or the IPA companies, without naming the names. Thanks.
I think we are very close to the end. I got a couple of minutes left. Gokul, do you see any other questions in your chat box?
Oh, okay. So there is what are the different pre-processing done to enhance the document, do necessary actions for better outcome? Okay, so there is a question about pre-processing, right? So we have inbuilt pre-processing components. For example, just simplest of the case, a PDF, a landscape portrait mode. You want to transition for better extraction. It can be simplest of the pre-processing. Or you want to do a skew detection and change it, if it is a image scan. So those are all things inbuilt in our thing. For example, OCR, you don't have to do any OCR. It's inbuilt in our platform. So likewise, a lot of pre-processing components inbuilt in our platform. And there are certain other pre-processing. For example, one of our customer gets in a Excel file. but it's an Excel. But we are to each row level, there should be a lot of extraction to be done. But if you want to give quick human in the loop verification experience, you have to convert that XML into a proper smart document, and so it's more custom pre-processing. Yes, we are doing it, and those are things we do to get better outcome. And it's depending on the scenario, we will either use our existing pre-processing components or we can develop custom pre-processing parts. Not only pre-processing, the post-processing also. The extraction, after which a lot of business rules, normalizations, validations, auto validations, but because of calculations, with a lot of pre-built components available, as well as we can develop custom components.
And the last question that I would take is there any free trial available? I've just answered to Jitesh. We don't have a free trial per se, but we are offering that via the workshop registration that is there on the screen right now. So if you go ahead and click there and register yourself, I've sent the link on the chat as well. That allows you to come to a workshop where you will be given the access, and through that is what we would provide you with limited access to go ahead and try your documents out, create AI models on the basis of that. But apart from that, there isn't any separate downloadable trial that's available. Gangadhar, that's where if you come to the workshop is not costing you anything, please bring in your challenges and you can go ahead and create that. POC is of course available, and I'm answering the Gangadhar's question on the chat. We do offer a POC that is of course available to you. We have multiple different types of POCs which are available. Very happy to discuss with you. And that by free trial, I meant, can I download it and figure it out by myself? No, we don't have that. At a POC, will you discuss with us and give us the challenge, and will we build a POC for you? Absolutely, we'll do that. But if you want a medium route between the two, you also want the access and you want to do it yourself, that is where we have the workshop. So that's how we are addressing all the three pieces there. Yeah. All right, Gokul, over to you for closing remarks, and we have Saurabh back online as well. And go ahead, Gokul.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks for this wonderful session, Saurabh. You set the literally you set the context beautifully with your insights, and it set the tone for all the discussions. Good questions. And thanks for the participants for wonderful questions. I like to take the last question is, what is the benefit to any organization? I think one question, I don't know who asked, but the closing, I thought I can take that as a closing remark. So what Botminds bring gives to your enterprise, your company, enables you to deliver to your customers at least is a platform using which you can automate information intensive subject matter expertise heavy process by empowering the subject matter experts directly. So that's what we in the last 4-5 years, that's exactly what we passionately chased and developed as a platform. So using which, using Botminds platform, the subject matter experts are the process owners or the people involved in, and who knows very well about the process. They themselves can create solutions. It's a point and click AI model generation, multiple model generation, orchestrate and create a solution. With that, basically we are breaking the false narratives of necessary myths around in this industry, right? A lot of automation initiatives, even in any large enterprise, the automation initiatives are restricted to very limited document types or simplest of the document types. They are fed with that kind of, you can automate only invoice. You can automate only with a document with 3-4 pages. Why not a document? Why not automate a document with 1,000 pages? Why not automate a process where you have to extract 500 data points, where your key subject matter experts are spending 5 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours? If you can automate that process, the bottom line, the benefit you're giving to the enterprise is tremendous. But you're actually forced, or you're actually restricted to think or to even contemplate about automating those scenarios. So that's exactly what we are giving to an organization. Using Botminds, you can not only think, you can automate information intensive, high value processes without having to worry about the technology and underlying complexities. That's what Botminds brings to the table. And that's something I will say, Botminds is a well-kept secret from all the large organizations. That's what we are unveiling. That's what we are bringing to you. That's why we are doing aggressive workshops and POCs. Make use of it. I'm happy to work with you. I mean, I love to talk about the complex document understanding challenges. We're happy to work with you to make it a success. So that's with that. I want to. That's the key thing I want you to take with you. So automate processes, the processes that gives you great bottom line efficiency, great ROAs. Okay. So feel free to reach out to us. And again, fantastic to have you all in this webinar. And I enjoyed answering all the questions. Fantastic, lively meeting. And reach us at the workshop screen, or you can drop an email to hello@botminds.ai. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Gokul. Thank you very much for the closing remarks. And thank you, Vikas. Thank you, Saurabh sir, for your presence and wonderful session. With that note, thank you all the participants for joining in today and for the engagement session. If you still have any questions, queries, you can still reach out to UBS Forums team, and we are happy to connect you with Botminds. With that note, thank you very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.